They called it love, faith, truth. But behind closed doors, abuse, control, and mass death. These 8 cults aren't fiction. They really happened, and they'll haunt you. Right now, I challenge you. You've got just 3 seconds to subscribe to the channel. Only 1% of viewers actually manage to do it in time. Are you one of them? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Heaven's Magic. Heaven's Magic. Heaven's Magic was a controversial offshoot of the Children of God, specifically active in Brazil during the 1990s and 2000s. This cult combined Christian fundamentalism with extreme control over members' lives. Children were denied formal education and subjected to corporal punishment in the name of spiritual purity. Former members reported that the group practiced child labor under religious pretenses, using them to sell baked goods and crafts to fund the commune. The Brazilian branch became notorious after allegations surfaced of physical abuse and psychological manipulation. Parents were encouraged to sever ties with the outside world, and children were often punished harshly for disobedience. Some were separated from their parents as part of spiritual training. Though loosely connected to the broader Children of God movement, the Brazilian group operated independently. In 2019, Brazilian authorities raided several compounds, removing children and opening abuse investigations. Despite these actions, remnants of the cult still exist, operating quietly under different names. The trauma left behind continues to affect survivors into adulthood. Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps, ACMTC. Founded in the 1980s by Deborah and James Green, the Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps, ACMTC, claimed to be a militarized Christian movement. Based in New Mexico, the group enforced extreme discipline, isolation, and biblical literalism. Members wore military-style uniforms and referred to leaders as generals. ACMTC separated children from their families and controlled every aspect of members' lives. Physical abuse, starvation, and forced labor were commonplace. Women were especially targeted, forced into marriages or kept under total subservience. In 2017, authorities raided the compound after reports of child abuse. Several children were removed, and Deborah Green was sentenced to 72 years in prison for sexual abuse and child cruelty. Other leaders were charged with kidnapping and assault. Survivors described the group as a prison disguised as a church. The cult was rooted in apocalyptic beliefs, with leaders claiming they were training a new army for Christ's return. The compound was finally dismantled, but its legacy of trauma lingers. NXIVM. NXIVM, pronounced NXIVM, presented itself as a self-help organization offering leadership and professional development workshops. Founded by Keith Raniere in the late 1990s, it attracted celebrities, professionals, and even royalty. But behind the corporate front was a sinister inner circle known as DOS. Members of DOS, mostly women, were branded with Raniere's initials and forced into sexual servitude. They were recruited under the guise of female empowerment, but soon found themselves manipulated and blackmailed. Collateral, such as nude photos or false confessions, were demanded to ensure loyalty. The group promoted strict calorie restrictions, sleep deprivation, and obedience. Raniere positioned himself as a genius and spiritual guide, manipulating vulnerable followers. In 2018, the FBI arrested Raniere and later actress Allison Mack for racketeering, sex trafficking, and forced labor. Raniere was sentenced to 120 years in prison. The trial revealed a shocking level of psychological control and abuse. NXIVM's fall became a symbol of how cults can thrive in plain sight. The Ant Hill Kids. The Ant Hill Kids. The Ant Hill Kids was a Canadian cult led by Roch Thériault in the late 1970s and 1980s. Thériault claimed to be a prophet and formed a commune in Quebec, where he imposed brutal control over his followers. The cult's name came from his obsession with hard work. He compared his followers to ants. He ruled with absolute power, enforcing bizarre punishments. Followers were beaten, mutilated, and sexually abused. Theriot performed crude surgeries on members without anesthesia, claiming divine healing powers. Children were abused and neglected. Members were not allowed to contact the outside world. If anyone questioned Theriot, they were subjected to unimaginable torture. He convinced followers that the apocalypse was near, and only he could save them. In 1989, after one member died due to his surgery, authorities finally intervened. Theriot was sentenced to life in prison, where he was later killed by another inmate. The Anthill Kids remains one of the darkest and most brutal cults in modern history. The House of Prayer for All People. The House of Prayer for All People. Founded by Anna Young in the 1980s in Florida, the House of Prayer for All People was a secretive religious cult that presented itself as a Christian home for wayward youth. However, what happened behind closed doors was horrific. Anna Young, referred to as Mother Anna, enforced strict control through starvation, physical beatings, and isolation. She denied medical care to sick children and punished disobedient members with severe abuse, including confinement in closets for days. Her followers believed she was chosen by God to discipline the wicked. One of the cult's most tragic victims was a young boy named Eamon Harper, whom Young beat so severely he eventually died. His body was never found. For decades, her crimes went unpunished until a relative came forward with evidence in 2016. Anna Young was finally arrested in 2017 and later sentenced for manslaughter and child abuse. The House of Prayer became a haunting reminder of how religious authority can hide deeply disturbing acts. Superior Universal Alignment. Superior Universal Alignment. Founded in the 1980s by Valentina de Andrade in Brazil, Superior Universal Alignment, SUA, claimed that children born after 1981 were evil and must be eliminated. The group mixed apocalyptic UFO beliefs with radical spiritual doctrines. Valentina claimed to receive messages from alien entities warning of an impending planetary purge. In the early 1990s, multiple children and teens went missing in the town of Altamira. Some were later found dead, with signs of ritualistic mutilation. Authorities linked several SUA followers to the crimes. Members were accused of sexually abusing and murdering boys, believing it would cleanse the earth before the arrival of alien beings. Despite overwhelming evidence and testimonies, Valentina was never convicted due to lack of direct proof. However, several members were imprisoned. The cult still has defenders and remnants in South America. The Altamira case shocked Brazil, not only because of the brutal crimes, but because they were rooted in cosmic beliefs and carried out with terrifying conviction. Love Has Won. Love Has Won. Love Has Won was a New Age cult founded by Amy Carlson, known to her followers as Mother God. The group mixed conspiracy theories, esoteric spirituality, and belief in divine reincarnation. Carlson claimed to be a 19-billion-year-old being who had lived as Jesus, Marilyn Monroe, and Cleopatra. The cult operated largely online, gaining a global following. Members were subjected to extreme restrictions, including food deprivation, sleep deprivation, and harsh discipline. Carlson promoted 5D ascension and claimed mainstream medicine was unnecessary. In 2021, Carlson's mummified corpse was found in a Colorado home, wrapped in Christmas lights and surrounded by glitter. Her followers believed she had ascended and would return. Authorities described the scene as a horror show. Several cult members were arrested for child abuse and corpse tampering, but none for murder. Carlson's death marked the group's collapse, though offshoots of Love Has Won still persist online. The case exposed how online spiritual movements can spiral into full-blown cults. Lord Our Righteousness Church. Lord Our Righteousness Church. Lord Our Righteousness Church, also known as Strong City, was founded by Wayne Bent in New Mexico during the 1990s. Bent, a former Seventh-day Adventist pastor, declared himself the Messiah and prophesied the end of the world. He moved followers to a remote desert compound called Strong City, where he lived with a small group of loyal believers. Bent claimed that God told him to take young brides, some underage, to prepare them spiritually. Though he denied sexual abuse, testimonies from ex-members and recordings raised serious concerns. He taught that physical intimacy was part of divine healing, blurring dangerous lines. In 2008, Bent was arrested and later convicted for sexual misconduct with minors. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Strong City dissolved shortly after, though a few loyalists continued to defend him online. The cult story was the subject of the documentary Inside a Cult by National Geographic, revealing how charismatic manipulation can lead to devastating psychological control.